Okay.
Okay, hi, I'm Atul. Just finished my first year somatics program, and I live in Oakland, California. Pronouns are he or him.
I'm Emily. I am also in the somatic program, just finished my first year. I use she, her pronouns, and I live in San Anselmo.
Hey, we wanted to just review our responses to the questions for this week. So I'll start us off. The first question, what is the myth of normal, and how does Mate ask us to integrate our assumptions about health, specifically mental health? I'll start off, and then maybe Emily can chime in.
Yeah.
What I got from the readings was that the way we're living right now um, is really unhealthy. Our mental health is not accounted for, and therefore is leading to a lot of chronic illnesses. So it's really it, it's disheartening to me. Like, we're living in this way that is just terrible for our life. Um, and Mate asks us to integrate our assumptions about health, um, specifically mental health. I think assumptions about our mental health, like our for an average person, is that everything is fine, and the past is past and doesn't affect our current health. But as we're reading about, as I read Mate, really learning about how our past and trauma can affect our current mental health. So Emily, do you want to add some things?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think what I understood about the myth of normal is just that we actually we're living in a really abnormal society where um like what passes for normal is not actually healthy or natural. And the way we're living is unhealthy and harmful on psychological, mental, and even spiritual levels, the book says. So just this myth of normal, it's like actually it's super abnormal. And as a society level, I think yeah, his ideas challenge my assumptions or not. I don't think that they challenge them. I think it was really helpful and interesting to read his work this week because yeah, I think just as the US, like we dissect mental from physical or emotional from physical, and it's like actually like in the medical model does, right? It's like separating versus holistic, looking at the whole picture and all the parts and how that makes up the whole and whether or not like that is um health, right? Like health is mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, all the things.
Totally agree. Yeah, it's all interconnected, and really learning about how interconnected it is and
Mm-hmm.
the effects to everyone's health.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah.
we was thinking we could move on to the next question for due to time. Or do you have anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah. Are we gonna do the specific examples in the text?
Are there specific examples of tech that stand out to you? Does his ideas challenge your assumptions or not?
Mm,
Do you want to start off with some examples?
yeah. Um, let's see. Yeah, I think one of them was the interpersonal biology that we both found interesting and stands out. He brought in like married people versus single people and how married people have lower rates of mortality, single people have elevated risk for cancer, heart disease, and basically how the interpersonal biology is how connected we are to each other and like how much we all affect each other. And another one is just the chronic illness case studies that he brings in and how the body and illness are connected to emotions and unaddressed trauma. And yeah, all of his examples were just like really interesting. The specific chronic diseases, like um, Crohn's disease and like what he would make all these connections of like what types of patients came in and how their emotional world and traumas were either similar or like had something to do with the specific body illness and what was being attacked, if it was autoimmune or not.
Yeah, those are a lot of great connections that Mate has put together. Um, I think something that stood out to me was that for elderly people, it's an equal risk factor to cause death. Loneliness is just an equal risk factor as smoking or alcohol, which is like that blew my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think something you brought up, Emily, which stood out to me in our conversation was that the U.S. is the richest country,
Mm.
but we have 60% of adults have chronic disorders such as high blood pressure, and at least 70% of Americans have on one prescription drug. Um, I don't think if
Mm-hmm.
there's anything else that I think another point that you were making was that if we don't take care of ourselves, this results in chronic diseases such as cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything else, or I think we just have a couple more minutes left to address the last question.
Yeah, I think I'm good to move to Menichem.
Okay, do you want to read that next one? Question.
Yeah. What does Menichem offer to us that is different from Mate, and how might we understand his basic assumptions about the body and racialized trauma? What do you make of his ideas that the body is the site of generations of trauma? Do you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. I think from our discussions, and I think you brought up a lot of these good points, is that our society, well, Mate brings it up more from a clinical side, like a medical side, where if you have this particular trauma in your past, it affects your current um, mental health and therefore causes um, chronic disorders.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Monica brings in more from a societal side. I think, Emily, you really brought up this point, is that um, the intergenerational trauma as well as white supremacy is affecting our social um, order or social ideals. I'm not using the right word, but it's affecting us as a society. And so Meineke is looking from a society perspective and how a society can change, whereas Meineken's looking at more from an individual side and more from a from a medical side. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
do you want to add some more things to that?
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting because see a lot of similarities for Menichem and Mate, but I think too, I'd said like I read them kind of interchangeably. And so while I think yeah, very different approaches, but it's all kind of leading to the same thing of like healing um and healing from that individual level in order to heal each other, heal collectively because of that interpersonal biology. Like no one can do someone else's work. And I think Medicum really is rooted in that like personal body individual will heal collective trauma because it starts with the individual, but we also affect each other and bringing in like Medicum talks a lot about the fight, flight, or freeze response affected by trauma. And we were talking earlier about like clean pain versus dirty pain and just how and disassociation connected to like dirty pain is like we either go numb or we have really strong reactions to life stressors, and how white supremacy is, we live in a white supremacy society that is just perpetuating this way of living, because the individual isn't like sitting with the clean pain, we're disassociating from it, and then yeah, like healing isn't possible without being in your body, right? Or like healing from the body. Word vomit.
Yeah. Yeah, healing comes from the body. I think that's where Mate is coming from, and Monica's society is how to make this overall society under, understand how society ideals or white supremacy is affecting, you know, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So combining the two can help resolve the trauma and improve people's mental health.
Yeah. I just had a thought and I think it just left, but like, hmm, yeah, it went away. Maybe it'll come back.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks, Emily, and thanks for everyone for listening to our post. And we'll see you next week.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.